Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope everyone is well. We're going to get started now. 14 o'clock GMT. So let's get started with the weekly outlook. Um, just want to know if anybody can hear me and see my chart all well. Just want to hear that my audio is okay today and my video, the quality is okay as well. Just gonna yes from everyone. That'll be nice. Loud and clear. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. So, anybody on TradingView can said it's good as well. Just want to get it. I know there's less of you guys on TradingView, but if you can let me know the audio is good, the quality is good, then we are good to go. Great. So let's get started. Let's get started with this week outlook. So I just posted in my Telegram about the trade that I am looking at for the week ahead. Few pairs only. I don't have too much on watch as usual because I'm focusing on higher setups are better that are developing more into what I want to see. A couple dollar pair here and then Euro Aussie Pound Kiwi, they're looking pretty good. I'm still in silver as well. And looks like the indices are looking pretty bullish to me. Nasdaq and S&P 500. We'll definitely go over that. And a couple crypto that is looking like it is having some bullish price action. So we'll take a look into all these pairs and we'll see how that takes us. Okay. So as usual, I'm going to start with at least just a few pairs that I am on watch. A few pairs that I am live right now. And I'll go over into the market outlook right after, okay? So I'm in Pound Kiwi. In the recap video, I talked about I was in Pound Kiwi. I actually get stop out here when the market opened here. So I actually took a 1% loss when market just opened. And then I pretty much get back into it right after when the spread calmed down, when there is a smaller correction that I see, and a double top here. So I basically re-enter back into this position. So right now it's running okay. I think it's close to 1-to-1 now. Not yet, but once we break out of this structure here and we break down, then I will definitely look to hold to the trade and then move the stop loss to break even. I am also still in silver, right? Silver is a trade that mentioned in the recap video as well. So I'm still in silver. I still like what I see here on everything from the higher time frame down to the lower time frame. So I still like the overall price. I still like the inverse head and shoulder. Just waiting to see if we're actually going to get this confirmed breakout and continuation after. That's going to basically kick off this next potential bullish run. And the third one I update in my recap video that I'm still in Solana here. So it's just hovering in the red here. So we'll see if this actually will take me out. If it does, I'll let that happen. That's fine. 1% loss. But there's a couple of times here that almost take me out. I'm still in this trade here. Well, just to see if this is going to continue down. If it is, then I'm happy to accept the loss here. But I like the overall price. I like the overall the entry. I like how the higher time frame correction. We have a lower time frame breakout and lower time frame continuation. So fine with this type of entries. Happy to take a loss here if that's going to happen. So those are the three trades I updated in the recap video, and I also got in on Euro Dollar. I think was when the start of the market. I was looking at this price. On Friday we have the NFP, right? And really didn't much happen here in my opinion. And instead we have pretty much basically a impulse down and reversal impulse, continuation correction, and then we have another push up. So to me, I like what I'm seeing here. At least we're start getting into a little bit bullish activity. Now it didn't break out of the correction that usually we want to see, but I see enough here that is enough for me to risk a 1% here. I like the overall price already. I like how it's at least showing you some bullish activity on the lower time frame. So I'm fine with these type of entry. Just set the entry order and then stop loss below. Almost take me out here while I was sleeping, but it looks like it's about break even now. So I'm happy to see how this one will take me. Is it going to eventually break out in continuation after? Then this is definitely a scale in entry for me to consider once this impulsively break out of the descending channel here, and then that'll be definitely a scale in entry for me to look into. So those are the position that's currently live right now. If you have any question, let me know. But if not, we can continue with the outlook today. You can see on my watch list there is just a few dollar pair. I don't have any yen pairs on watch. They look pretty weakened to me. Some of you guys caught the long on yen pairs. Good job on your part. I do see a couple other these Aussie and Kiwi pairs that are strengthening as well. So we'll take a look into those. That's about it. So we can get started with the outlook now. As usual, you guys are welcome to let me know which pairs you guys are looking at for the week ahead, or maybe you guys have some entries that's in right now. You're welcome to let me know. And as usual, please put a long or short for the pair that you're watching or want me to take a look. I will make sure to go over them in order. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Forex pairs. And then we're going to go into commodities, indices, and crypto in that order. So whatever ones that you guys mentioned, I will flag it into blue. So if it's blue, that means that I'm going to go over them, and I know that's for you guys. I also have a few pairs that are on my watch list, so that's going to stay in green or orange, etc. So I see dollar yen, I see Aussie Kiwi, dollar cat, I see Aussie cat, I see pound yen, gold sell. Adam, but hey Adam, I don't trade support resistance, so maybe some stuff that you might see as a support resistance, to me really is not applicable, at least from my point of view or my way of analyzing the market. I don't trade support resistance, so it's not going to be a factor to me. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but it's not really applicable to how I trade anyways. We look at the overall price, right? We look at the overall higher time frame to lower time frame, which we'll go over in detail, but I don't see any support resistance, right? So I'm just trading the actual price action. I trade the actual potential impulse and move that we're going to get on the multi-time frame analysis. But I'll go over euro dollar more in detail. So make sure to put long or short. A bunch of you guys saying pound dollar, but pound dollar long or short, right? Remember, I want a direction from you as well. So So let's get started here, guys. So let's get started here with dollar index now. We'll take a look from dollar index here first, okay? So quite a bit people are looking for dollar strength. I don't blame them if they kind of just look at what's going on here. They have a strong bullish push up, right? So if they're only focusing on this part of the price, then it looks like it is a bullish push up on the price, and I do agree with that. But if we zoom out here just a little bit, where we are right now in the price, right? You can see that we have this really strong down move to the downside, okay? And after this down move, we talk about this overall structure that is currently still in the making, right? You can see that we have a few swing highs, right? We have a few swing high here, we have a few swing low here, and I like how we are basically at this potential double top here that's in the making, right? So you can see that this potentially is just a larger structure to be correcting this down move. So that's why to me, I'm still holding, or I still have a reasonable bias for a sell or a bearish dollar, because we're right back to this top here, right? Every time when we reach the top here, we're looking for any top possible bearish reversal price action. And to me, that with the double top here, with the larger structure here, and we have a smaller kind of expanding structure, and within that there's also an ascending channel. So remember, when we talk about multi-time frame analysis, is that we want to combine as many positive confluence that's going to favor your bias, that's going to strengthen your overall bias. We're not just going to focus on, you know, smaller time frame here. If, you know, it does look like this is moving up, but this is all this part of a correction. But if we zoom out, everything else is basically showing you that a possible reversal is more likely. So that's kind of how I see this, is that I'm basically waiting for price to actually have a strong push down from the price, right? We're hovering around this area, that's fine, but ultimately is waiting for that really strong impulsive break, right? That's going to break out of this ascending channel, and then if we form lower time frame correction, then certainly a entry here would be nice. That will kick off potentially the dollar weakness. And if we complete this expanding structure and push down lower, then certainly more downside is very possible. Now you can see that we're still in this overall structure, and that's why to me, when the price is at the top here, to me it's just always a valid or good area to be looking for possible sell entries or sell bias, because that you're at the very top of the overall price, and that everything else is looking like it is possible for a reversal to happen. And I think catching from the top here is always going to give you maximum risk reward. Okay, so that is dollar index, guys. Now we can take a look at a few dollar pairs. Let me see how to get rid of this. So let's look at a few dollar pair. I personally have only Aussie dollar and Euro dollar on watch, but let's take a look at them more detailedly. Now Aussie dollar here, if we zoom out here, to me this is kind of how I have the structure now. Now I have, you can see on the higher time frame that we have a few swing high and lower. Higher time frame we have a few swing high and few swing low. We're kind of in this kind of a, you can call this a channel or more of expanding structure. Either or, we're getting a structure here. This is what we want to see after this kind of a strong impulsive move to the upside. We want to see consolidation. And to me, the consolidation is nice. And at the end, we also have this kind of an inverse head and shoulder, which I point out, I think from 2 weeks ago. I took an entry here. I think there was a loss from last month. But basically, it wasn't ready here to go up. But it pretty much just kind of makes a bigger structure here. But ultimately, it's still a inverse head and shoulder that we're seeing here. And we're starting this breakout now. This is exactly what we want to see now, right? This kind of kicks off that bullish momentum, which is good to see. And now if we look deeply more closely here, is that not only we have the larger inverse head and shoulder, we also have a lower time frame inverse head and shoulder as well. So this could be a possible entry. I'm not sure if any of you guys got in on entry here, but I think this is a proper entry. We have lower time frame head and shoulder. We have the higher time frame head and shoulder as well. I think all that is looking pretty clean. And we'll continue pushing up now, which is great, right? So basically, if you're looking for lower time frame corrections for entry, I think that's totally fine if that fits your plan to enter. Looks like we do have this bullish kickoff now, right? Which is what it's nice to see. And to the high of this correction here, I think there's enough room for justified entry. So look for a possible lower time frame correction. I think that's good for a possible buy to the top here, and then you'll see if we're going to continue up more or we're just going to kind of bounce off this area and then reverse down after. So that is one of the dollar pair that I favor. I think Aussie dollar is looking good compared to other dollars. Euro dollar is the one I'm in. So, but these are the only $2 pairs that I think has the most potential. So let's move on to Kiwi Dollar here. Someone mentioned about Kiwi Dollar. I think Kiwi Dollar long. Yeah, Kiwi Dollar long. I do agree. Kiwi Dollar looks like it's going to be a more of a bullish outlook. Now, the reason why I think Aussie Dollar was slightly better because of just the price action, right? Again, when we look at all the dollar pairs, it's best to choose only one or two, right? Like I always mention. So in this case, Aussie Dollar does have that inverse head and shoulder, that slightly better price action than Kiwi Dollar. Kiwi Dollar is okay, right? We're in this larger structure, similar like Aussie Dollar, which is good. We want to see this type of continuation price action, which is going to give us a possibility of continuation. But within the lower time frame here is not really giving me too much, at least not too much bullish price. Certainly if the dollar is going to get weakened, then most of these dollar are going to continue its weakness. But I'm just not getting that clean of a price at this current price action development. I would prefer maybe this becomes a reversal correction and push up and then eventually break out. I think this will always be the entry that I'm looking for. But until that happens, this is kind of in the middle of this overall correction where you can see Aussie dollar at least was hitting the bottom here and then created an inverse head and shoulder. So if I was going to choose, I would definitely choose Aussie dollar over Kiwi dollar. But I do understand the overall bias here is still a potential buy. Now we can look at Euro dollar really quickly because I think we talk about Euro dollar almost every stream, but I like how we're at the bottom, right? This is always the price where you want to be looking for potential buy setup, potential reversal opportunities. Because if we zoom out here, higher time frame, this just looks like a strong bullish impulse. And now we're forming into a continuation price action where we have, again, few swing highs and few swing lows. This is exactly what we want to see. And we have this higher time frame double bottom here as well. And expanding structure within the higher time frame parallel channel. So basically everything is inverse to dollar index, right? But everything is looking clean because it all lines up for a potential bullish push up. So all that left now is, if you haven't catch this entry, that's fine. That's a little bit risky, right? This is a more of a reversal entry to me. But I think the better entry here is to really wait for this price to break out here. And then continuation price action here, that's going to be always the valid buy and always the better potential entry as a correction after breakout, right? This is always the entry that I talk about. So wait for that one to happen, right? And at least that confirms this descending channel is complete. And we have a bullish breakout, bullish continuation. And even to the top here, I think that's fairly, very, very good risk reward to be aiming for. And if we do see the higher time frame as a potential next impulsive run of this correction, then certainly more upside here is very, very possible to the next high. But first thing first, right? Wait for that complete breakout and wait for that continuation would be nice. Pound dollar, I think you're saying for long, and I do agree. I think some of you guys from last week was looking for pound dollar short, and I even saw a chart saying that this is a short someone enter, and unfortunately that didn't work out. The reason why is, again, it's sometimes traders focus too much on the lower time frame, right? So if this is all the pound dollar price action for years, right? If this is all the pound dollar price action, then I agree, yeah, if you're looking at this part of the price, then sure, you can potentially see this as a sell entry, then I do agree with that. But you have to zoom out, right? Always, right? So you have to zoom out and look at where the price is at and what the price has been doing. And to me, this is just a larger structure that is been correcting this up move now, and that we broke this previous low, but there is no continuation to go down. Instead, it's a bullish reversal, right? So that's a sign from the market where it is basically showing you that this is more of a descending structure. We broke the previous low, but there is no continuation to go lower. Instead, it's a bullish reversal up move, right? So that's why my bias here is always more towards a long rather than a sell, because the sell should have happened when we break this previous low, and if there was continuation price action here to sell, then I do agree that is likely to push the price lower. But that's not what happened here, right? And this is why being patient is super important. After this bearish push down from the price, there is just no consolidation to push lower. Instead, is a bullish up move and a little bit bullish correction and push up again. So to me, I'm more leaning towards the buy, right? I'm more leaning towards the bullish outlook. Even though there is, to me at least, there is no immediate correction that shows us the buy entry, but the bias here is long, right? So it's just about looking for a potential entry. If you see any correction that is suitable for your plan to enter, then enter accordingly, right? But the bias here to me is more of an upside. I do want to see price to push out to the high of this correction here, and then basically to reevaluate to see if we're going to get further upside after, or we're just going to hit the top here and then drop down once again, just like what we have seen in the past, right? Because this correction can continue, develop a little bit longer. So a push to the upside that does not break out might likely to push down once more. But in this current situation, I'm more leaning towards a potential long setup. Hello, hello, hello. Why don't I enter Kiwi Dollar, Aussie Dollar? Again, it's risk management, my friend. You have to understand about correlation and currency correlation, right? So it's just doesn't make sense for you to enter so many dollar pairs in the same time, right? I mean, you might see that on social media where people enter multiple positions of the same pair or the same currency. That generally is just to kind of lure people to buy into whatever they're selling, but proper risk management, proper consistent trader will tell you that you shouldn't enter all the same pairs with the same currency. That's going to cause you're putting more at risk, right? Because if the dollar gains strength and you're going against the dollar strength, then all your trades are going to be a loss, right? So you have to understand that, right? Of course, if it works out for you, yes, they will all make profit, and you look like you're making a lot of profit, but you're just over risking and your account is putting at a greater exposure to the same currency pair. So let's continue here. Dollar cat. So let's look at dollar cat here. Dollar cat here, I think, actually I talked to a few people where they entered a sell here. So it looks like they're working well, right? Because we have this larger structure. To me, this is a larger kind of ascending structure that the price is in. And we did have this kind of a lower time frame breakdown where I look closely here. There was a slightly entry here, and I saw some of you guys got in on this entry. So it looks like it's doing well, and it looks like we're potentially forming another entry here. Now, the only thing why I personally not really favoring this one, because we're pretty much getting to this previous low, right? So price is likely to react to this low. It's just that we don't know if it's going to just break through the low and then continue after, or we're just gonna stall and start moving more descending line to this low here, and then eventually reverse up. So we have to be a little bit careful here because this is a pretty significant low as well, right? You can see this is the beginning of this ascending structure. So sometimes price is going to react to this previous low, and whether or not we're going to get bullish reversal or continuation, it's a little bit hard to say. So if I was some of you guys who are into this trade, then I would just move it to break even first, right? And just kind of see if this correction is going to push the price lower, or are we going to get more consolidation where that might be a sign where the bearish move is over. Okay, so I do agree the downside or the bias is for the downside, but I wouldn't be trading through this previous low. So dollar yen, some of you guys are looking at dollar yen short, and I was looking at dollar yen short as well, I will be honest, and I just didn't really see that reversal again. And I still get messages like these where people enter a sell like this where there is no sell bias. So I want to remind everyone again is that if you're looking for setups, you need to confirm it with your bias, confirm it on the lower time frame, because simply just enter a sell with nothing here is just giving the money to the market, unfortunately, right? That's the best way to put it. Is like, if you don't see any development here, if you don't see any kind of a strong push down followed by correction, nothing here shows you that is a sell yet, right? We all look at the structure this way. We do all agree probably that we see the structure the same way, but we're just not seeing the sell bias, right? Excuse me, we're just not seeing the sell development of any lower time frame price action. So definitely not an entry here. I don't see any entry, right? As the price continue to push up, it's just it's not ideal, right, to be selling here when there is no development. Okay, so I want to just remind everyone of that, because I get these messages where people are just still entering positions like this where basically they're just giving the money to the market, and it's not ideal for the long term, of course, right? That just creates anxiety and stress, create also just trading psychology, which is not ideal. You want to wait for something like this, right? This is a push up from the price, certainly. This is bullish outlook. We're not going to enter here. We're not going to enter even if there's high test candle. That doesn't make sense either. What we really want to wait for here is if the price does push down afterwards back into this pattern, and if there is bearish continuation price action, then that is a much, much, much better and valid entry that I think most of us would be taking it. But right here, when there is nothing development, even if I see a high test candle, even if I see a bullish and bearish engulfing candle, that's simply not enough to enter. That's just how it is, right? You just wouldn't be entering here after a strong push up like this. Okay, so I will be waiting for something like this to push down into the pattern, and then if there is continuation, then that's something that I might consider. But if that does not develop, then no entry, right? Just let the trade go and then focus on other pairs. Okay, so let's continue here. I think that's all the dollar pairs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I went through all the dollar pairs that you guys are talking about. So let's go through a couple yen pairs now. Looks like there's a bunch of yen pairs, and it's kind of like equal mix of what you guys are saying. There's some people saying sell, some people saying buy. Yeah, let's take a look, right? Let's take a look into the Aussie yens first. Someone mentioned about Aussie yen sell, if I'm correct here. Now, I personally was looking at Aussie yen sell as well. I'll be very honest. I was looking at price to push up to the high here, and if there is some sort of bearish development here, that would at least confirm the bearish sell opportunity. But that did not happen once again, right, guys? So again, if the price push up like this, and then you trying to enter because maybe you see a candle like this, you see a bearish candle like this, and you enter like that, you gotta really work on that mindset, right? You gotta really work on that FOMO, because there is no development, guys, right? What I post from last week was, I want to see price move up. Great, that's what happened. But I want to see price correctively move up and form corrections, right? This is clearly not a correction, so there is no consolidation for you to consider anything, right? Whereas this move is just so bullishly push up where it doesn't make sense to be selling if there is no reversal price action. Right, we forecast the opportunity, we forecast the bias, but we need to also align it up with the development, right? We don't just be like, well, we're gonna be sell here, but there is no bearish price action, then you're gonna blindly sell here with no reason, and you're just gonna take an unnecessary loss, right? So to me here is, I'm fairly neutral, as I say. I'm really not interested in any of the yen pair. I see people are going buy or people going sell. Personally, I'm really not interested in buy or sell at this given moment. I don't see the confluence right now. I was leaning towards sell on a couple of these yen pairs, but they pretty much all push up, right? So I'm not interested in the sell anymore unless there's further development, right? And this structure here, if this is going to push up and then form correction to go higher, then obviously this is no longer valid, right? We have to see a more of a bullish price action. But as for now, we're just going to monitor this area to see whether the possible reversal, just like dollar yen I went over, is it possible to reverse back into the pattern and then a bearish continuation, then that's something that we can work with, right? Because there is bearish price action. But don't just blindly enter a sell when it hits a trend line, because we don't use trend line as a resistance, right? Support resistant trader might use the trend line as a resistance, but this is we don't use it that way, right? We want to use the trend line as a way to just identify the structure. Breaking out the trend line is not an automatic buy, right? We have to follow through a correction to confirm the buy. Whereas breaking out of the resistance trend line doesn't mean it's automatic sell either, right? If you want to wait for price to push back into the price and then form continuation, that actually confirms the potential downside. So let's continue here, because I'm also looking at Swiss yen. I think someone mentioned about Swiss yen as well, if I'm looking at Swiss yen short. Yeah, same idea, right? I was looking at Swiss yen short as well, because I think last week also I mentioned price. I want to see price move up to the top here. It did. We move up to this potential top, but I kind of just break through right away. We move out to the top of this overall correction here and just break through right away. So again, there is no entry here, right, guys? All we want to wait for now is if this is going to be a bullish push up to the high, to continue the high here, and if the higher time frame structure is no longer valid, because this is still the higher time frame structure that I'm looking at, right? I still see this as an impulsive phase, and I see this as a larger kind of parallel structure. So if this move is going to break this previous high now, then it kind of might void everything that we're seeing here, right? If this push to the upside and then correct to go higher, then that voids everything we talk about here. But the last kind of area that I will really focus on is just this previous high here, where the price had that impulsive move to the downside. I remember this one where some of us all caught the sell entry here. Now, this is the area that I will be looking at now, is because we broke out this structure here. So this basically becomes almost like a reversal structure for this up move. But whether or not we're going to continue breaking above this high is still too early to tell, right? So again, we're going to monitor this area this week. Is that, are we going to form corrective structure to this high here, right? If it does, if it shows some bearish price action, then this becomes a lower time frame double top, right? And we can still reasonably see this structure still intact, still within the higher time frame structure as well. Then our bias here can still lead to a potential sell, but we have to really be careful here, because lower time frame here, we just had a very, very sharp move to the upside, right? This is a clear up move to the upside. So you gotta be careful here is whether or not we're going to just continue higher and just breaking above the previous high, right? So even though we think, or we want to see a double top to happen here, but we also cannot be married to our analysis. We have to go with what the price is giving us. So if the bullish bias develop here, we break the previous high, then of course no entry here, and I'll kind of re-monitor or readjust my analysis if we break this previous high. But until that happens, this area is still a very good area to be watching out for the price. I'm still more interesting or more leaning towards a potential sell, but just how the price develop here is very important. Let's continue here. Euro yen, right? So Euro yen, I saw a few of you guys talk about Euro yen as well. Euro yen long. Yeah, I'm still seeing the price that's in this structure here. So it's kind of the same idea, is that this is still within the structure for now, right? So it's kind of similar like Aussie yen. It's kind of similar like dollar yen, where it just breaking above the high here, right? And we kind of look like it's a really strong bullish up move. But same thing here with Euro yen is, if you're in the long trade, then obviously if this continue up and then form correction to go higher, then of course hold on to your trade. But because I still see the structure here that can potentially lead to a continuation downside, so I'm going to monitor this area. It's the same thing as the previous yen pair. Is that, are we going to break out and continue higher, or are we just going to start forming into more of a bearish reversal price action, which is kind of what I would like to see in this kind of scenario. So I'm going to be monitoring this area here in the next day or so, to see we're going to break up and then continue, or we're going to form bearish reversal, because this overall price is still looking like we're in this correction here, right? So we still have a potential that the price can consolidate here and then leads to a potential bearish downside. I think someone mentioned about pound yen, but I'm looking at the chat. I'm trying to find out what direction you're looking at. Pound yen. Anyways, pound yen looks like it's breaking above this high here, right? And it's the same as the other yen pairs I was looking at. Is price is pretty much pushing up very, very strongly, and we're breaking above this high now, right? So basically, what was once that I was looking at, what was once I was more leaning towards a sell, is like it were breaking on this correction here. So this looks like a more of a reversal correction now that it's pushing up, which is kind of nice to see now that if you're looking at it's that the head and shoulder may not be valid anymore, right? And that was once my kind of a previous outlook where I think the head and shoulder was looking pretty clean, that we might see a downside from this correction. But now that it's breaking above, right, it's breaking above this previous high, it's breaking above this overall structure, then, you know, if you're in the trade here, I think it would be nice to kind of look for a continuation here to push up the price. I think as long as that fits your plan to enter. Personally, I would not be entering this because I don't think there's enough room for a potential 3-to-1, but depending on your stop loss, of course. Now, more leaning towards same thing as Swiss yen here is just kind of to see what the price will do when it hits this high here, because this is still that previous high that the price had that bearish downside. So even though we have this bullish breakout, which is nice to see, but this previous high on the higher time frame and this high on the lower time frame is still an area to at least be aware of to see if we're going to get potential reversals, right? If we obviously break above and follow correction, then certainly that's not applicable anymore. But until that happens, right, because we still got a little bit more room, we still got a little bit more price that needs to potential phone correction to go higher. So I'm happy to just be on the sideline and waiting for more development here. So crypto, guys, I'm doing it at the very end, right? I'm finishing all the Forex pair first, and I'll go commodity, indices, and crypto. Aussie CAD, I will go over that, right? It's all on the bottom here, so that's all in my watch list. So it looks like there's a few on Kiwi yen pair. So Kiwi yen, some of you guys are looking for long. Welcome to share welcome to share screenshots, my friend, if you want to share screenshots. Kiwi, I'm not too interested. It looks like it's forming more of a bullish correction here, right? This looks like if we want to see the structure out like this is almost looking like we have a descending structure. We have a bullish push up, and it looks like this is like a pennant or triangle, however you want to call this. But it looks like it is a continuation correction to push the price higher, and we're breaking above this high now. So to me, it is looking more bullish. I'll be very honest. It looks like it is looking more bullish, but I'm not looking. I don't see an entry here personally. Like I'm not looking to enter here either, just to push to the upside. Some of you guys saying long, some of you guys saying short. To me, this current price is more leaning towards a buy actually, right? Just basing on what I see here. Now, what price will do when we reach this high, that's a different story. But at this current given moment, this looks pretty much more of a bullish price action rather than bearish, at least in my view. So basically, you want to wait for what the price will do at this high, right? If you're in the buy already, then you want to watch out for what the price will do here. And if you're looking for sell, well, then sell is going to happen if the price does reach this high, if there is reversal price action to help you to lead to your bias, right? But as of now, I'm more favoring the buy setups, right? This looks more of a buy to me. But personally, I'm not interested here to buy. That doesn't fit my plan. But the bias here is looking more bullish. So let's continue here. Let's go into a few Aussie pairs now. Looks like there's a lot of Aussie pairs that we are interesting. I saw Euro Aussie long. Personally, I'm definitely looking for short. This is something that I can be much more firm with. You can see Euro Aussie here. This is clearly a head and shoulder pattern, right? It's no question about it. And we have the higher time frame double top. We have the lower, we have this head and shoulder as well. And basically price push down, right? It doesn't push down impulsively, but it is pushing down. We break this previous low already. That's what you want to see, right? And there is a smaller correction here. This is definitely the entry that I keep talking about, so I'm not sure if any of you guys got in on this entry, but this is definitely an entry once we broke this previous low and first lower time frame correction. So if that fits your plan, that should be the entry for you. You want to look for price what we'll do when it hit this previous low, right? That's kind of the next previous low that the price may react to. But judging because of this head and shoulder, judging because how strong this push down has been, then I'd likely to see the price continue lower and lower. And my bias here after hitting this high and having this clean head and shoulder on the higher time frame is likely to continue pushing the price down. And that's still my view here, and that's one of the pair that I'm looking at for the week ahead as well. Eurocat, Eurocat buy. Personally, I think it's more downside, right? It's looking like we form a consolidation here, and then it's pushing down pretty strongly. Depending on how you see this, there's probably entry here if that depends on you. There's a few of these price that continue to push down, right? If you look closely here, right, this is why multi-time frame analysis and understanding top-down approach is really important, because if you're looking for a sell, well, all of these are just bearish continuation sell, right? There is no bullish activity here. What you do want to kind of watch out for is this can lead to a descending structure, right? If it continue moving down in this fashion, right? But all we see here is just strong bearish push down from the price. So personally, I'm not really seeing a long bias personally. I see this as just a really sharp kind of bearish push down from the price, right? It's more likely that we're going to kind of look for bearish price action rather than a bullish price action, depending on what if the price will form here. We want to see bearish continuation, right? So a consolidation here is nice, but you just have to watch out for this previous low, because this was the previous low where price bounced off, right? But that's during coronavirus, right? So the other factors that are involved in here, but this is the previous low where I watch out for. But if we do get consolidation here to push down, or we just break this previous low and correct afterwards, I think the downside is looking better than the potential upside here. So let's continue here. Euro Kiwi. So I didn't put Euro Kiwi on my watch list, but it's basically the same like pound Kiwi, right? I kind of have the same bias here for pound Kiwi. It's just that waiting for this consolidation to be over, right? The overall higher time frame doesn't change, right? We still see this downside. We still see this as a correction. It's just this part of the correction is a little bit separating from the previous higher time frame correction, but it's still signaling or still giving you a bearish bias rather than a bullish bias, in my opinion. So you'll be still looking for a potential sell if this breaks down and then continue lower. I think that's still a valid sell, and it's still aligned with the overall higher time frame, and we're still looking for Kiwi strength as well. So definitely looking at this one, just like pound Kiwi, but I'm in pound Kiwi, and that's also why I'm not looking at the Kiwi pair at the moment. But I do like the overall down move. I do like the overall higher time frame as well. Certainly can expect this to continue lower if we do get further momentum to the downside. Now there's a few positions. I think there's pound Aussie sell. I do agree pound Aussie does look more like a sell. Very similar like Euro Aussie. If you look at Euro Aussie, it's kind of the same approach, right? Euro Aussie, just like I said, every kind of stream I mentioned, when I compare Euro Aussie and pound Aussie, Euro Aussie had just that head and shoulder that looks much cleaner, right? The much cleaner downside from the top here, rather than pound Aussie, which didn't really have that similar head and shoulder pattern. I do agree there is all these bearish price action, which is nice to see, right? There's another correction here, but I would choose Euro Aussie, right? But we're approaching this low now, so if we can just break this previous low, which is kind of prices en route to do that, then form another correction here, then we can certainly push down this to this next previous low. So that's kind of how I see this one. I do like the overall kind of bearish bias here on pound Aussie, and it's going to be the same like pound Kiwi as well. So pound Kiwi, right? Someone asked, is this the opportunity we've been waiting for? Yeah, we've been waiting for this one for a while. Not sure if you got in, but this is looking pretty clean to go further downside, right? This looks like we are at the top of the overall price once again. We have this higher time frame. Everything on the higher time frame basically confirms your potential downside, right? Have a big bearish downside on the higher time frame, larger kind of a higher time frame channel. We break out that channel and we form another correction here, and if we dig into the lower time frame, we have that double top here, impulsive break, and this is just a continuation price action that is in the making. And I think there was several entry depending on how you see this. This was my first entry. I did get tagged out here when market opens. So I did take a loss here, but I just managed to get back in once the spread calmed down. And I saw there is a lower time frame reversal and double top here. So I just set the entry order below the correction here. So price tag me in. And it looks like it is pushing down more now. So that's good to see. So I'll move my stop loss to break even. And then we'll basically just monitor this price to see whether or not we are going to get to the bottom of this area. Yeah. So, but overall it's looking clean, because if we look at where we are right now, if this correction completes where we are right now, right, and if we can actually break down here, even just to the low here, that's a very good risk reward already. But you're looking at the previous low as a second or potential third target, if this is going to be that continuation that we're waiting for to push the price down even lower, right? That's something that I will be watching out for, and I think it's very clean for further downside, right? And even if we just hit the bottom of this correction here, we're basically going to get about, I think, 5 to 1 or so. So I think that's still very good risk reward, even if the price just hit the low here and then bounce up. Though I'm gonna look to exit the trade and then take profit and move on. So let's continue here. Aussie Cat, right? Some of you guys are talking about Aussie Cat. I probably see the same thing as some of you guys were seeing. Aussie Cat long, if I'm correct here. Someone mentioned about Aussie Cat, right? Aussie Cat buy. Yep. I do agree. Aussie Cat is looking like this. What was once looking more bearish to me, this was, I think from last week, I was more looking at this as a more bearish price, because I see price basically forming to another structure here after this downside. And I thought this can be eventually pushed down to this low here, and then we'll kind of reevaluate to see if we're going to continue lower. But what ends up happening is we did push down from the price, but we pushed down more correctively. And you can see that we hit this previous low, and once we hit the previous low, price forming to more of a descending structure here. Right, so that's showing us that this is likely to be a bullish reversal, right, rather than a bearish continuation, because we just hit the low, but we did not break the low, or we did not form into any bearish price action. Instead, it's a more of a bullish reversal that looks like it's developing here. So I do agree that the bias here is more leaning to an upside move. Now, in terms of entry, I'm not seeing any entry at the moment. Like if this breaks out here and followed by a correction, this might be a possible entry, but I'm not sure if you can get enough risk reward just to the top here, because this structure here can still continue to expand, right? All that left right now is we do see this smaller correction that could lead to upside. I do agree with that. But what if price just eventually evolve into something like this? And then we basically, for the price to hit this top here, and then just reverse back down and forming still a structure like this to continue lower. Right? Remember we talk about evolving structures, right? One of my workshop videos. This looks like it's complete, but it might continue to expand, and that's why this is a more tricky area where this upside move may or may not hit this high, or may not continue higher, and then this whole structure changes to continue the bearish downside. So be careful these kind of buy where it's quite more leaning towards a short-term buy, and if you have a plan to enter these trades and then get out of the trades without feeling emotional and without feeling FOMO or fear or anything, then of course execute to your liking. But to me, I'm not looking for something buy like this where I don't think there is enough risk reward. All right, so continue here. Aussie Swiss, right? Someone mentioned about Aussie Swiss sell, if I'm correct. Aussie Swiss short. Here's the thing, right? We have this kind of a pattern separation, which I talked about last week, is that this bullish push out was supposedly followed by this bullish correction to go higher, but instead it kind of falls into a new structure. But falling into a new structure doesn't mean that it cannot continue downside. It's more leaning towards that we're just having a different pattern here, but ultimately this consolidation can still give us a potential buy move. So sometimes when we're in doubt in this situation, just zoom out a little bit on a higher time frame, and what do we see on a higher time frame? Well, we see this as more of an inverse head and shoulder still, right? Nothing changes from this perspective. So in my opinion, this high here is quite important. So if we can break this high here and continue, I'm more leaning towards a buy actually, and that would align with Euro Aussie being sell as well, right? Because they're fairly correlated. Aussie Swiss here, as long as we can break this previous high, then to me this becomes just one big consolidation, and we push up here and then push up higher after a lower time frame correction. So I'm more leaning towards a buy. Now, if you're looking for a sell, then you're more leaning towards, because you see this as a more of ascending structure, then yes, but you want to wait for at least some sort of confirmation push down from the price and then continue downwards, right? If you're looking for more of a sell bias. But personally, I'm more leaning towards a buy here. Aussie Kiwi, yeah, I got that question, Victoria. I think Aussie Kiwi, you're at the top here now, right? This was at the top. I think a lot of you guys got in on this buy here that pushed all the way up to that high, right? So very good. This is the high you probably want to either take profit or just closely monitor this area, because chances are we're going to hit this high here and then we're just going to start seeing some sort of bearish price action, right? Occasionally we can break up here, then form continuation, go higher, but this is where I always going to watch out for the price, is whether or not we're going to break this high or we're going to have reversals. And because of how sharp this bullish push up has been, I'm more going to be very careful at this previous high, which is exactly where I would take profit in this first place. So watch out for this area. Last one I'm seeing here is Cat Swiss sell. Cat Swiss sell, I think some of you guys were looking at the structure maybe this way or something like that, and kind of just continue pushing higher, breaking above this previous high as well. Personally, I'm not really leaning towards anything. I'll see what price will do when we reach this high, but to me, I'm not really seeing the same structure here anymore. It was once looking okay if this bearish price action pushed down and then continue, but it did not, right? It kind of just continued to push up higher. We broke this previous high as well. So I'm more neutral on here. I'm just going to kind of look at this previous high here to see if there's going to be any reversal opportunity. Then that's something that we can certainly work with. But if this continue higher or even just form bullish continuation, then I'm not interested in the sell. Okay. What else here? So I think that's pretty much it. Just going through the watch right now. If I miss anything, you guys are welcome to show me. You guys are more welcome to ask me if I miss any pairs that you guys asked me to do. Someone asked about what am I live in? Yeah, I'm live in 3 positions here. So I'm live in Euro Dollar, Pound Kiwi, and Silver. Those are the ones that I am live right now. So Pound Kiwi, Euro Dollar, and Silver. are the 3 positions I have right now. So positions that I already went over, I'm not gonna talk about again. You might have to rewatch it just because I have a lot more to go through, right? I always do this at the same time, so if you miss some, you can rewatch them, or you can rewind it a little bit to get to see the pairs that I went through. But I will talk about the pairs that I didn't talk about. So pound Swiss sell, not really seeing much until this breaks down, right? I think some of you guys see the same thing here that can happen. I do agree. I just want to see price actually break down here and then lower time frame correction to push down lower. I think that would be a better sell setup. I do agree the bias here is more lenient towards a sell, right? So I do see the sell bias here also. Just want to see if this correction is enough to push the price lower or not. Show execution and profit loss. This is exactly what it is. I'm not sure what you mean. Dollar Swiss sell, right? I don't think I talked about that. Yeah, I mean, I see the structure like this more. I see the structure like this more. I still see this as a potential downside. I do agree the downside move is there. I do like the few swing highs and few swing low as well. I do want to see, this almost looks like a head and shoulder as well. Preferably price can break down here and then continue, right? That's probably what would be a better sell opportunity in my opinion. Pound Aussie went over that earlier already, so it's basically similar bias like Euro Aussie, which is kind of pushing down here as well. So I'm more leaning towards a sell, just like Pound Aussie, just like Euro Aussie. But I think the sell has already happened, like this sell already happened here. So, and we're approaching to this previous low as well, right? So we want to be a little bit careful whether or not price is going to continue, or we're just going to kind of stall in this area. But looking like the strength of Aussie is pretty strong, so I do expect this to continue lower down, okay? Euro dollar, dollar Swiss, would you say they're inverse correlated? They're probably correlated, but they're not 100% inverse correlated, right? Because if you look at dollar Swiss here versus Euro dollar, they're still going to be different. But dollar index and Euro dollar is inverse correlated. If you inverse dollar index, this is dollar index right now, right? So if you go back to Euro dollar, it's basically the same thing as what we see just now on dollar index, right? So what else did I miss here? Cat yen sell I went over a couple times already, that's why I'll quickly go over that. I'm not looking for cat yen sell anymore because what was once looking like this is the area where I will be keeping an eye on never had any bearish bias, right? I also get people who enter these prematurely without any confirmation, because what you want to see here is we do see a potential high, but we need to confirm that with a lower time frame reversal, right? So if we don't see reversal opportunities here, we're not seeing the structure break down from here, right? We didn't see a breakdown followed by continuation, then the sell is not applicable, right? As the push down from the price, there is no reversal that was developing here in this area, and that's why there is no sell setup, right? And I still see people prematurely enter the sell without really a confirmation to sell, right? So you have to understand, when we talk about selling, we're making a forecast, we're making a potential bias of what the price is likely to do, but we still need to confirm that with the development of lower time frame. Because if it does not develop, then there is no entry, then we're not going to risk our money or 1% here without a better entry here that give us a better risk reward. Right, so I'm not looking for sell. What I will be looking for is kind of what the price will do when we reach this high here, and see if there is any development, right? See if there's any bearish development when we reach this high here. Is it going to consolidate? Then I'll be keeping an eye on it. But if it does just kind of just continue breaking up and followed by correction, then of course I'm not looking for the sell. Okay. Do I often use pending order? I always use pending order. So I always set entry orders. I don't really set market orders, or I don't enter any market orders. So any entries is always entry orders, right? So pending entry orders. So stop entry orders, never market orders. If that makes sense. So let's continue, guys. Looks like we are through all the Forex pairs now. Well, Kiwi, Swiss, potentially looking like it's looking more of a potential bullish opportunity, right? We have this bullish push off on the price, bullish continuation, and then looks like we have another lower time frame impulse up and then lower time frame correction here. So if this can breaks up and then continue after, then that certainly is going to be a potential buy. But that's something that I'm keeping an eye on. I'm more leaning towards Kiwi Swiss and Aussie Swiss, like being one of them could lead to that bullish kind of outlook that we're looking for. So no other question here, right, guys? So let's move on to commodities now. Looks like there's not too much other question here. So let's move on here. I'm gonna look at silver. Silver is the trade I'm in right now, right? So I'm in silver right now. I'm still liking the overall price. I think we went over this in my recap video, and I went over this last stream as well. I like the overall price. I think there's no question about that we're at this bottom here where is a possible reversal that can happen, and like the overall higher time frame where we have that bullish push up on the price, and then looks like we're having in a larger consolidation. So I like the double bottom, I like the higher time frame structure, and I like also we have this kind of a descending structure correcting the price down. Remember in my recap I mentioned this is exactly what I want to see, is when the price is only halfway through in the beginning of July, I want to see price to push down to the low here, right? Because pushing down to the low here for the buy is just going to be much better risk reward. So we did get this push down, right? This is exactly what I want to see. And now we're basically forming to this descending structure where we know that's likely to be a bullish reversal. So basically I like what we're developing here. We hit the double bottom here, and we also have kind of an inverse head and shoulder at the bottom. Usually you want to see these at the top or the bottom, right? So we want to see head and shoulder at the top of the overall structure, and we want to see inverse head and shoulder at the bottom of the overall price. And that's where we're going to potentially get a buy set up here. That's going to give you a much better risk reward because you're just at the beginning of this potential run. So if price does break out of this descending structure and then lower time frame correction, certainly another upside is very possible. But we just kind of have to be patient here, waiting to see if this develops. Now I entered this because based on enough confluence here, of course this is a riskier entry, right? This is a reversal entry that I will talk about. You're certainly better off to wait for this to develop if that happens, and then wait for a buy set up here. I think that's fine. I'm comfortable entering something like this. Happy to enter here, happy to enter when most of these lower time frame and higher time frame bias all lines up for this potential buy. Okay. So let's continue here. Let's look at a few oil. I was looking at oil as well. I'm sure you guys are looking at oil also. Now I know oil has been pushing up, and most likely a lot of you guys are probably seeing the same. Maybe there's some news talking about oil price increasing, all that. That's all fundamental stuff. Let's just focus on purely technical. So I'm looking at UK oil, US oil. I think they're pretty similar in terms of where they are right now, in terms of what the price development is. But I think I favor UK oil probably the most. Now we can probably see, a lot of you guys probably see the same thing. I see a few swing highs and a few swing low. I like how we have a ascending structure pushing the price up as well. And on the lower time frame here, we're still in this ascending channel, so obviously nothing yet. But I would really want to see price to just push down here, right? And then form a lower time frame correction to push the price lower. That would be a much better entry, and that would be a much better setup to the low here. Also, that can potentially kick off or complete this higher time frame structure. And if we look at the if we look at where we are right now on the higher time frame, we're basically forming similar structure like this, right? We have a few swing high, few swing low, price move up here just to move down massively, right? Move up here just to move down massively, because that is a reversal price action, right? That is a reversal structure that we are used to or comfortable seeing something like this. So when the reversal correction is finished, we get the next impulsive move, right? So what we have to do now here is just be very patient. Again, don't blindly enter here when there is no development, which is what traders often lose money on, right? You want to wait for the price to give you that confirmation and wait for the sell, right? Even if you sell here, you're still going to get plenty of risk reward down to the low, right? So entering here and entering here, the difference here is you entering here is likely to get tagged out, and you entering here is likely to work out, right? So remove that FOMO, right? If you have fear of missing out, if you're still having FOMO, work on your mindset, work on your emotion. If you're still trying to make money first and put in the time after, it's never going to work, right? It doesn't work that way, guys. So if you haven't put in the time and effort to backtest and work on your plan, work on your mindset and emotion, then it's harder for you to be successful in trading, right? You just have to put in the journey as well, right? It's all part of the work that you have to put in. So if you're struggling in these kind of areas, then work on it. The price is never going to just the next minute drop down all the way like this, right? It's never going to be like that. So you catching here, there's only one explanation, is fear of missing out, right? If you've done enough backtesting, you will know that this doesn't happen. It's what's likely to happen if the bearish move is going to happen is it's going to move down, correct, it's going to move down like this, right? So there's always going to be entries. If you miss beginning entry or the first entry, there's always going to be entry available for you if you miss the first one. So remove that FOMO, right? Because you're here to be a consistent, sustainable trader. You're not here to be the typical traders who jump into the market and then 3 to 6 months later they quit because they blow several accounts and they don't put in risk management, they don't put in any work, and they give up in trading, and then likely you just call trading as a scam, right? That's usually the human nature to do, right? To basically not admit that it's their mistake. They kind of blame the market, blame the broker, blame their strategy or whatever the case may be, but never blaming themselves, okay? Now let's look at gold really quick, because I know some of you guys always ask me about gold. I personally just favor silver a lot more. The price action here is just much cleaner, much more likely that we're going to get a bullish price action rather than anything else. Gold to me is okay. I know some of you guys looking at this as a falling wedge. We have a push off on the price. Looks like there's a continuation, and basically after NFP comes down, we might likely to just get another bullish push up, and I do see that potentially. But we're not at this previous low. I would have preferred price to hit this previous low, would just be a much nicer area to look for a buy rather than kind of in the middle. Now, if they're going to move, right, if silver and gold are going to move, they're probably going to move together, right? But it's just that I would prefer the price to at least hit this previous low, right? This was also the previous low when the price had that bullish impulse as well, right? So, but in the meantime, I think this correction is quite important to see if we're just going to get a little bit more consolidated and then eventually push up to the high. But again, like I said, I think silver is looking much cleaner for that potential up move. Any other commodity, guys? Any other commodities before I move on to the indices? I'm not really sure what you mean by Quotex platform. It's doesn't matter what platform you're using, right? It's any market, any time frame. It's not any specific strategy that only works at a certain market. Again, this is the purest way you can identify the market. It's not like typical other strategy or anything. If you fully understand what it's doing, what the market is doing, you're always going to understand that there's always going to be impulsive phases. There's always going to be corrective phases, right? There's always going to be impulsive phase. There's always going to be impulse phase, correction phase, impulsive phase, correction phase, right? Impulsive phase, right? So the more you do chart work and backtesting, the easier for you to understand what the market is doing. Natural gas sell. Probably you do see something developing here, and I do agree on the lower time frame. It looks like there is something developing, maybe a head and shoulder, or maybe something along that line. Now, I think these are all going to be temporarily until we break back into the higher time frame structure. I'm more leaning towards a buy because if you can look at the higher time frame, we talk about natural gas, sorry. For carbon, we have this really strong break to the upside. This is nice to see, right? But we, as I always say, we need to wait for the continuations, right? Just because we're on the higher time frame doesn't mean we can't form a continuation. It's just like lower time frame, right? Lower time frame, you need to have reversal price action or continuation price action. Just like the higher time frame also needs continuation and reversal, right? So what I really want to see is this bullish push out. We're breaking above all this high, which is excellent to see. If we just get it more consolidated here, right, whether or not that's going to take weeks or whatever to complete, I'm more leaning towards the upside, right? Because this overall price push down, we have a more of a descending structure forming for 12 years or so, but we know that is likely to be a bullish reversal, right? Which is exactly what's happening right now. So even if there is lower time frame development, I understand there's probably head and shoulder. You probably see it this way. I'm just not interested in a sell because this can easily just hit the bottom and then reverse or something like that. It's only when price really reverse back into the pattern and then continue down. I think that's a much better and more inclined to look for the sell. Whereas to me, this is simply not enough for me to just start selling. At least for my plan and my risk management, because my bias here on the higher time frame is more leaning towards the upside, right? So I just don't personally think these lower time frame can work out, and even if they do, they may or may not hit the target or the risk reward that you want to get. Yes, all the crypto guys, just like I said, the order of the live stream is after finish commodity, I'm going to indices and I'll go into crypto. So just be a little bit patient with me. I will get to it very soon. So let's continue to platinum. Someone mentioned about platinum. Yeah, I do agree platinum is looking more bullish. Basically, we have all this price pushing down, right? I think we talked about this in the last few months or so, and then we kind of hit this previous low where prices start showing us a little bit more bullish price action, right? This is an inverse head and shoulder. We look like we broke out this structure here, right? This is the structure that we have here. We broke out of that structure here. That's good. And we're kind of breaking above this high as well, right? So good to see a consolidation here. Probably would be nice to continue the price here. All right, so let's continue here. I'm gonna go to the indices now. So I mentioned on the indices, it's looking more bullish now, right? So it looks like they're all turning into more bullish price. Remember from the beginning, we were looking at more sell. We were looking for it to see if the price can hit this low and then break out and continue, right? Well, we did hit this low, exactly where I think the price would be first react to, and then we had this reversal, right? So that is a sign again from the market that we just don't have enough momentum to break down and continue, whereas we're slowly seeing a little bit more reversal, right? You can see this push up. I was looking at this to see if this is going to be a correction to go higher. Either way, it looks more bullish consolidation rather than anything, right? If we look at S&P 500, it's the same idea here, right? We originally looking at this to continue the price. We did break out the structure, but you basically kind of push down here, and it forms into more of a reversal correction here, and then it's reversing back up now, right? And then after reversing back up, this almost looked like a bullish continuation once again. So to me personally, I'm not really looking for a buy here. I know it's likely to move up, but it just doesn't fit my plan to go against the higher time frame. So I would just be very observative here to just see if the price is going to make another way up to the top here, right? It's very likely that is the possibility, but again, it's just whether or not that fits your plan to buy while we are still kind of in the higher time frame bearish bias, which is kind of, I still ultimately see these indices being in that higher time frame bearish bias, which means that these lower time frame buy is not going to be suitable for me to enter. For my plan to enter doesn't mean that you shouldn't enter or you shouldn't trade them. It's just that I don't like to go against the higher time frame. Here on Dow Jones, it's kind of the similar thing, right? We have this kind of double bottom here and price push up. It looks like this is a continuation price action that's in the making, right? So again, it's that whether or not we see this as a continuation or this is just going to be a reversal correction now to push up to the high here. Either or, I'm not really planning to enter any of these. I did point out the two that is looking pretty bullish, which is NASDAQ and S&P. But I'm not really looking to enter these. I would just be watching the price to push up, and I will kind of monitor the price to see what they will do when we reach the high again. Open bell news and technical. I don't really know what open bell news. It's obviously up to you if you want to incorporate news or fundamental into your technical. That's totally up to you, right? There is nothing wrong with that. I personally just look at purely technical. Some people get offended like that when I don't look at news. Well, it's not I don't look at news. It's just that if there's going to be news, it's going to be reacting on the price, right? So if there's some positive news, this is going up, then we'll know that this correction works and we're likely to continue higher, right? It's just that personally, when we look at news too much, then we're always get a little bit scared to enter trades or hold the trades or whatever, and it just becomes we're always relying on the news to give you a direction, which it doesn't always do that, right? Let's say like NFP, for example, right? Last Friday we have NFP, and last Friday we have NFP, right? So there was some positive news on dollar. Oh, sorry, negative news on dollars, I guess, right? So like if NFP news is negative, shouldn't the dollar gets weakened? But when we see the price, like it had a really sharp move to the upside and then a sharp move to the downside, right? This is what we see here. Let me find a few. Right, like this is NFP here, right? So sometimes the news doesn't necessarily predict the direction, right? This is kind of always what I want everyone to understand. The news will create volatility and not temporarily short-term time. So people trying to scalp, people trying to enter and sell, whatever. But it doesn't necessarily predict the direction of where the price is going, right? Well, after the volatility settles, after the volume settles, the price usually resume where it was going to go, right? So let's continue, guys. So that's all the indices I want to talk about. We can go into crypto now. So let's look at a few crypto. I just have a few on watch here. Unless you guys have anything, I did saw Shiba, I did saw Ripple. I'll go over those. First thing I want to look at is Cardano here. I think Cardano have potential opportunity here. Those of you who miss anything, I'm gonna go over crypto really quick, and I'll have some time for Q&A. So if you stay around, I can answer all the questions you have. So after I finish crypto, I'm going to host Q&A, so you can leave all your questions then. Cardano. So Cardano's been pretty bullish in my opinion since all the way down here when this is when I actually first bought coins here for Cardano, but it's moving up pretty good. I think this is another opportunity here for a potential bullish price action. Basically looking for this to at least give me another confirmed breakout. There's a few bullish correction here that's okay, but I would really prefer a stronger impulse up and then correction here to go higher, right? That's what I ultimately would like to see. Now, I'm looking at here, just like all this correction here is a little bit consolidated, right? Which is not really something I want to see. So last thing I want to wait for is just a clear breakout and clear consolidation to buy. I think that would be another entry here. Similar like this, right? You can see this correction here is kind of like the same correction here. And if we look here, is that price did give you that kind of a lower time frame breakout here, lower time frame consolidation that basically leads to the next upside to the high here, right? So same thing can happen here is that we basically form into similar price action like this, right? And then we had a little bit of a breakout. So if we can confirm a consolidation here, I do agree the price can continue high or passing this high and then continue upwards. Bitcoin, someone asked me about this area here. I think I would have preferred a bigger consolidation, right? I remember last week I pointed out this was the buy setup here, and many of you guys got in on this buy here. And hopefully you're just holding the trade, or maybe you bought some coins or whatever, but this should be probably move it to break even, or you can set alert here just to in case price drop down. We're approaching to the next high here, right? This is the all-time high here, which is we're getting very close to it now, which is nice to see. I would have preferred a little bit more consolidated here. I think like another consolidation here can certainly lead to another up move, and we can eventually reach the all-time high, if not break the all-time high here. Looking at Dogecoin, I think Dogecoin is also looking pretty bullish. We had this kind of a falling wedge structure pushing down. Would have been nice to hit this previous low, but instead we had this bullish up move. There's a small correction in the middle. This correction here can easily lead to another bullish up move if we can just finish consolidating here to push up. Someone mentioned about VET, right? If I can look up here, VET, yes. I do see VET being bullish as well. This looks like an inverse head and shoulder pattern. Preferably we want to see this at the bottom, right? But in this case, I still like the fact that we had this kind of a reversal correction, right? So impulse, correction, impulse. This is no longer a continuation correction. It becomes a reversal correction to push up. And this is a continuation, looks like, to go higher. So we're looking to see if this is going to form a right shoulder and reverse the price up. Uni, I mentioned this last week as well. It looks like we had this breakout, and this is that clear consolidation that I mentioned that price will form. So this is likely to give you another opportunity to push to the up here. Ripple's been pushing up. This is nice to see. We had this kind of a reversal correction. We pushed the upside, some consolidation halfway here. Some consolidation up here, and another consolidation here would be nice to see if the price can reach to that previous high. So another correction here would at least confirm another up move here from the price. Now, what else? So look at Shiba here, right? Some of you guys are asking about Shiba. I personally don't trade. I personally don't have this, but I'll go over them really quick. This was what I posted from, I think, 2 weeks ago when we see this consolidation here, and when the price breaks up, I mentioned, well, it's clearly a downside followed by a reversal correction, and the price is pushing up, right? This is all good to see. And this area here, if we zoom in closely, is that you basically had a push down from the price to kind of just liquidate out, formal buyers, right? But now it basically just forms another correction, so it's nice to see that, right? But I want to be very cautious when I say this, is that a lot of you guys are buying this because of, typical news or typical people saying you should buy because it's pushing up. But I mean, if you look at Dogecoin, it's something like this is bound to happen, right, guys? When the price push up, and then at the very high when people start dumping, and this is kind of what happened. So you just have to be careful. If that happens to Shiba, it's going to be the similar things, right? We're approaching to this previous high here, which is likely where the price is going to be a little bit more volatile and likely to get a little bit of reversals. So be careful, right? If you're going to be buying here, whatever the reason you're going to buy, you have to watch out for this previous high here, because price is likely to react to this previous high. It's just how price move, right? And something like this, when it happen like this is just a sign where the market kind of just takes out all these buyers who are trying to catch the next up move and just gets liquidated here, right? And once the liquidation finish, then this is likely to resume again. Okay, so I'm really not interested to buy these kind of coins or anything like that, but I could say that just be careful, because this is driven by mostly news, right? This is driven by, someone tweeting things and things like that. So you just need to be careful in this area, right? I think it was 2 weeks ago when I mentioned when those setups were somewhere here, these are good buy setups, but when you're approaching to this previous high, you just have to be careful. So any other crypto, guys? Any other crypto before I start with my Q&A? Almost an hour and a half, so I hopefully leave some time for Q&A before I wrap it up. But those are only ones that I'm looking at for the week ahead. So they're all here if you're ever interested in any of these. I do agree crypto does look a little bit more uptrend. I do agree they do look pretty bullish, so it's nice to see, right? If some of us are holding coins, then it's good to see that they're in an up move. Sure, SLP. Definitely not seeing too much here. I'm not sure you're buying or selling, but this looks like it's just a really strong downside, and I'm not really seeing any bullish price action yet. This looks like it's likely to be a bearish continuation to go down further. I'm only looking at crypto right now, so share with me your crypto ones first, and I'll go answer any other ones. I already went over Cardano, so my bias here is looking for buy, right? I'm looking to see if this will push up first and then form consolidation here to look for the buy, just like what we once seen here in the past. Same kind of similar correction, same kind of breakout, looking for a continuation to go higher. And we're basically forming the same thing once again. So looking for the same setup here, just like this, right? Pro. There's something developing here. I'm more a little bit neutral, unfortunately, because this could be a inverse head and shoulder, but this can also be like a down move trend correction. We push down, and this looks more ascending structure that can push lower. So if we zoom out here, I'm more leaning towards a downside rather than an upside here for this particular one. Not much here I see, to be honest. I'm not really seeing any bullish price action. Instead, this is looking more bearish in my opinion. This is just more push down, correct, push down, correct, push down, correct, and looks like it's pushing down more. So I'm not really leaning towards anything here. I don't see any buy potential. Instead, it's more looking like it's more bearish. Stellar, right? I think Stellar is looking pretty decent, at least. Looks like there is some bullish activity now here on the lower time frame. But I would prefer price to break this high though, right? Because this is still a little bit indecisive. I still think this is quite sideways kind of price. I would prefer for the price to at least push off on this current correction and then consolidate more. I think that would be a better entry. At least we're breaking above these high as well. Alright, so that's it for crypto, guys. I think I mentioned most of them. I'll go through a few that someone mentioned earlier. Tesla. I can go over the equity really quick. I don't really see sell on Tesla, unfortunately. I see only buys. Personally, my bias here has been buy ever since the bottom here. I have Tesla shares all the way at the bottom here. I don't see any sell personally. I see this more just an uptrend. We have this continuation price action. We're going to continue higher, and this is the previous high where price is likely to hit. So I don't really see any sell here. I think this is just gradually moving up as we go. Path. This is another one, right? There's not too much data here for me to conclude anything, but if we're looking at purely just from all this price, it looks like this is a downside continuation and downside, but this is more leaning towards a descending structure where probably price can push up here, but whether or not this is going to be a reversal all the way up or this is just another smaller consolidation to push up here and then to continue lower is too early to tell. There is really not too much information here to conclude anything. Alright, so let's do some Q&A, guys. I'm going to have 15 to 20 minutes to answer some Q&A, so if you have any pair that I missed, you're welcome to let me know. I think a lot of pairs, I see a lot of repeatable pairs, so I've been through those again already, so you're welcome to rewatch the stream if I haven't talked about it now, but most of the pairs that I see, I mentioned that already in the stream, so. NAS 100 determine how Tesla performs. If Tesla is also going to be a buy if Tesla goes bullish. Sure, but it's called NASDAQ 100, right? So that means there's 99 other companies that factor into NASDAQ, right? So Tesla is one of the 100 NASDAQ component, but there's also 99 other stocks, right? For crypto, what's the best strategy? There is no best strategy, but you should always understand any market is the same. There's no difference in that. Maybe other strategy tells you differently, but if we're looking at price action solely, right, we're only looking at price action, then stick to understand that when does the impulsive move happen and when does the correction happens, right? So you want to be in the market when the price is in the impulsive phase, and you try your best not to be in the market when it's in the consolidation phase, just like any other market, right? When the consolidation finish, you're gonna get the impulsive phase, and then another consolidation will begin, and once that consolidation finish, you'll get another impulsive phase, right? Just like any market, any time frame, okay? Dollar Swiss, yes, sorry, I missed out on that. I definitely see it more bearish. I have the structure draw like this. I'm not sure how you guys draw or anything, but either or, I think this is more leaning towards a bearish bias to me. And this looks like a head and shoulder as well. So if this breaks down and then correct after, that would be nice to see. And that would could potentially push down the price even lower. I'm only focusing on really $2 pairs. I just want to make this clear. I'm not interested in any yen pairs at all. I'm only interested in Euro dollar and potential Aussie dollar, which is the one that's developing here. So Aussie dollar looks like it's good, right? Kiwi dollar looks good. I like Euro dollar as well. I'm in Euro dollar, so I'm looking at Euro dollar here. Again, I mentioned about this in the beginning. I entered this more of a reversal entry. So I'm comfortable with the risks involved, but I always say you should probably look for this buy entry would be a much better entry. But I'm fine entering this. If that does push up followed by correction, then I can look to scale in an entry here. But in terms of the dollar, like I said, I'm more leaning towards a weakness in dollar. That's my bias and that's my point of view, right? Of course, everybody is welcome to have different point of view. But I like the dollar being more bearish because we're still in this larger consolidation. And every time when the price reach to the top, and if there is bearish confluence from a multi-time frame, higher time frame down to lower time frame, I'm more leaning towards the weakness in dollar, just like what I have seen here on Aussie dollar and Euro dollar and a couple other dollar pairs. I'm more leaning towards a sell. I'm more leaning towards a dollar weakness. That's what I'm trying to say. I did not enter at a correction after breakout, Herman. I enter simply as a breakout entry, right? This is not a correction after breakout, right? A correction after breakout would be something like this. If that's a correction after breakout, I just simply enter as a breakout entry, a breakout of this larger correction, and I'm fine with a wider stop loss, right? Because I know that, see how large this price action has moved. I just want to protect my trade. I don't need to have a 20. See if I enter something like this, it's immediately to a loss, right? So that's something I plan to hold longer term if that gives us the opportunity. So to me, this is more a reversal entry with a breakout entry, kind of slash breakout entry, but it's definitely not a correction after breakout. Good, Nadim. Nice to see you. Do I have a limit where you say that is too big for stop loss? No. That all depends on what pair and what market you're trading. You should think the opposite, right? Instead of thinking how wide your stop loss is, right? You think the opposite. Most people are thinking, okay, I want to make sure my stop loss is tighter, so my price I can make more reward. Well, I think the opposite. I want to make sure my stop loss can cover my entry, and then I calculate the profit. Most people do it the opposite way, and that's why also they have that different result is they look at their target first, and then they adjust their stop loss based on their target, which is to me not the ideal way. I make sure I calculate my stop loss first, and then I look at my target to make sure I hit 3 to 1 or not. Because more often people are doing it this way where they set the target or like, oh, I don't get 3 to 1, I'm just going to make my stop loss tighter. That is what people usually do, and that's why people usually get tagged out into positions. Because again, FOMO or greed, right? That's another psychology part where people need to work on, is calculate your stop loss first before you calculate your target. You don't calculate your target first and then calculate your stop loss after. That's not an ideal, sustainable way. I already covered crypto, my friend. Sorry. So, but you're welcome to watch the stream, or you can, once I stop the stream, you can watch all of them. I'm just answering Q&A right now. So, Aussie Swiss long. Yeah, I'm more leaning towards long, just like Kiwi Swiss. I'm more seeing Aussie and Kiwi being strength. Now we have the separate patterns here. That's what we're seeing here, but this is still an overall up move after from this inverse head and shoulder, and the high time frame is still looking pretty bullish to me, right? So it's nice to see some bullish activity here. And I mentioned this earlier when we talk about Aussie Swiss, is that I want to see price breaking above this high, which is exactly what's happening now. So another little push up to the top and form correction here would be very nice to see for the upside. Dollar cat, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I mentioned in dollar cat 2 hours ago, or beginning of the stream, is that I'm not interested in selling here because we're approaching to this bottom, potential double bottom. Now, what all that matters is, are we going to get this consolidation to just break the previous low? If it does, then that's good to see, right? We break the previous low, and then we form continuation to go lower. That is definitely something that you can watch out for. I also understand what is probable to happen is that this can fall into more of a descending structure or just more consolidation to this double bottom here and a possible reversal, right? So always understand what is likely to do and what is probably going to happen as well, so you're prepared to all sorts of market condition. I find new traders, usually they just be like, okay, I think this is going to be a sell, and all they think about is sell. They don't care about any of the potential buy bias or any potential reversal bias. And when the reversal happens, they're like, oh, why doesn't it push down? They get frustrated, they get emotional. Well, you can't be confirmation bias, right? Confirmation bias is you only care about what you think will happen, and you don't care about what is also likely to happen. So if you consider both options, then you will just be much at a better and comfortable position to deal with any kind of outcome. Well, what do you mean by all currency pair? I do look at the 28 pairs. If you look at my watch list on the right, I do look at the 28 main pairs, which is, as you guys know, all the main currency pairs are dollar, yen, euro, pound, Aussie, CAD, and Kiwi. These are the main 28 pairs, right? I don't really trade any exotic pairs, right? Something like, you know, if you pair with some other exotic pairs. I do look at few dollar, I guess you can call these exotic pairs, but I don't look at something like, let's say, like euro, I don't know, let's say like Euro ZAR or something, or Euro Indian Rupee or something like that, where is, to me, is more exotic. They usually have bigger spreads, right? So I don't like to trade those. But 28 major pairs is usually what I focus on. So All right. Any other question, guys? Any other question for anything? I'm happy to answer a few more questions if you guys have, or if I miss anything or miss any pairs, you're welcome to say that as well. Eurocat, Dollar Cat, similar. Yeah, they're similar because they're cat pairs. They're heading for a double bottom. Yeah, probably. Um, Eurocat, right? I guess you're talking about the double bottom here, so it's still a little bit distant, but it's similar like Dollar Cat, right? So I guess it's similar like Dollar Cat reaching to this potential low. Chances are Cat could get weakened, right? Cat's being fairly strong, so maybe Cat can get weakened. And if we talk about oil last time, we talk about potential bias. My bias here on oil is waiting for something like this to happen. So if the oil price drops, then likely the Cat pairs will weaken, right? Because we know Cat pairs are correlated with oil. Euro pound long. Euro pound long, yeah, we're at this potential bottom here, right? This looks like a potential structure that we're in here now. Depends on what we see here in the lower time frame. Likely there's something developing here. There's some sort of consolidation, right? That's like a more of a descending kind of price is in the making. Now we can look at this a few ways. Now originally I was more looking at this as a downside, and this could be a continuation to go lower. But it looks like we're forming a structure now, right? And this structure is showing us that we're not breaking past this low. So potentially this, instead of a continuation price, which what I thought was over the many weeks ago, look, if we do get reversal up move like this, then certainly this can be a reversal for this down move to reverse up. And that's a possibility, right? So I'm going to monitor this area to see what we kind of price we get here. And then if we're going to get bullish reversal price action, then certainly we can focus on a little bit more. But as of now, I'm just going to be still kind of neutral, just waiting for this area to give me a little bit more development. Pound Kiwi, good entry. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us enter the Pound Kiwi position already, so I'm not sure other people, but I think all of us enter Pound Kiwi some part here, or maybe here, I'm not sure, but it looks like Pound Kiwi is pushing down, right? So which is good. I'm looking for a potential, looking for what the price will do when it reach this low, and then whether or not we're going to continue past this low or not, right? We talk about this. I think the clear price here or clear bias here is looking for the downside, right? If we can break out of this structure, then the previous low will be a next target, and then the down here will be a next target as well, right? So I do agree Pound Kiwi is looking pretty clean. Do I trade on TradingView? I guess I would say no. I mean, I could link my broker with TradingView, but I don't trade on them. Like I would still execute the trades on my broker app. This is what I do. Like what I mean is I execute the trade on my phone. I don't execute on TradingView, but there's really no difference, right? You're welcome to do that if you want. I don't think, like I don't take that many trades or that many entries that require me to enter right on TradingView, right? Like I only take probably 15 trades a month. So I can easily, comfortably manage them on my phone, enter them on my phone, etc. I don't necessarily need to have half the profit box. I know some of you guys do this probably. You can like enter these, right? Like you can buy and sell right on TradingView, sure. I just link it because I can show my trades. I can be honest and transparent with my results. That's why I do this, but I don't need to use TradingView to enter trades. I just use the broker app, right? So if I use Oanda, I just use Oanda's app to enter trades. It's just easier for me. I've been doing that for years, right? So you're welcome, buddy. Hopefully that is helpful for everyone and that makes everyone a better trader. That's what I'm doing all these. Anybody new watching these, you're welcome to follow me on different platforms, right? You can follow me on TradingView. This is where I post all my analysis and stuff like that. You can watch the stream here. You can rewatch the stream all here, or you can rewatch the streams on my YouTube. This is where you can learn everything I do here for free. Everything you hear me talk about, you can find out how to learn about price action analysis, any of the correction, any of the continuation reversals. I go over a bunch of these workshops where I explain every single thing I talk about in my strategy, style, and method. You can all learn here for free. And all my risk management video and all my trading psychology videos are all here. You're welcome to watch them. And all my streams are safe on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch them on YouTube, you can watch them here, or you can watch them on TradingView, whatever it works for you. I found YouTube is usually the easier one to watch, right? So, and in my Telegram, this is where I post all my analysis, all my updates, all my results, all my educational content. It's all here. You're welcome to subscribe because I don't sell anything. I don't have any advertisements, so you don't have to worry about those kind of stuff. I was explaining about not opening too many trades on a pair. Yes. What about it? I think I went over Stella earlier. If I'm not, I can quickly go over again. I'm more leaning towards a buy bias on Stella, right? This looks like a potential continuation, so I'm kind of looking at this to see what the price will do, but I would prefer the price to break this high here and then continue after. That's how I would like to look at the price here for Stella. DEF, like what is that? Is that a crypto or is that a stock, right? Is that a stock or is that a crypto? Because I'm not 100% sure, so. Like DeFi with Tether, is that what you mean? So, audio done. I'm still talking. When to move pound Kiwi break even, that's up to you, right? That's up to your entry and your management, right? So please understand what I'm doing here is to help you guys to make your own decision, right? So it's up to you if you want to move your stop loss to break even, right? Or if you don't want to, right? But this is why I don't offer signals, because I found that's what traders do, is just copy signals. But ask yourself, who is a signal follower that is making a lot of money, right? Just ask yourself, why do you think the statistical don't lie, guys? The 90 to 95% traders still lose money. So if it's that easy to just follow signal and make money, then why do 90% people still lose money, right? It's because that's exactly the reason, because they don't have their own decision, they don't have their trading plan, they don't have risk management in place. And if simply follow a signal would be easy, then we shouldn't have that many losers in trading, right? It's often because when you're following some sort of signal, you have your own emotion involved into a trade. Position can go up and down, left and right, and you might not hold the same as the signal provider do, or you might not exit the trade like your signal provider do. And at the end of the day, you don't have your own decision making, right? You have to understand your account is in your account to trade, right? So you have to have your own decision when it comes to trading. That's going to help you at least to sustainable in the long run, because that signal provider may not be there with you forever, right? And if that person is gone, then you haven't learned anything from him and you're back to square one, and then you need to find more people to follow on, right? So develop your own skills. This is always what I want. Why am I doing this is I want everyone to understand to develop their own skills in trading. That's going to help you to be more successful, right? It's not easy just as, okay, if I follow someone's signal, I'm going to be wealthy. It's not going to happen, right? All right, everyone. So I think that's it for me. That is it from me. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. Very good session. Nice to talk to some new people and familiar faces. I will do one on Wednesday as usual. So I will see you guys on Wednesday, same time, 14 o'clock GMT. And I will do a market update to follow up on any positions or any of these positions I post in my Telegram. You're welcome to take a look. And we'll see how that work out. And meanwhile, if you have any question, you're welcome to ask me, or probably the best to ask me in my group discussion chat room. There's like almost 1,100 of you guys in here, so you're welcome to ask questions. There's other people in here that can help you or to answer questions, etc. Okay. And I guess the last one I want to point out is don't fall for scams again, because I'm still getting these messages. People are falling for scams still. So be watch out for people who pretend to be me. I can't control scammers, right? So I can only do messages like these where I will tell you that I am not here. I will not message you first for no reason, right? So any type of messages from me to you directly is likely to be a scammer, okay? So I would never message you for money. I will never message you to offer any of these premium signal group subscription or whatever, right? Typical sell pitch, right? Typical scammers tactics is these kind of things. So just be aware. I don't do any of these. You're welcome to look at this post in my Telegram that explains pretty much anything, right? Always make sure you get the messages from this account only. Sometimes they will use a different username that's very, very similar, so be careful. And make sure you always check with my official accounts. These are my official accounts here. You want to make sure if someone message you and you're not sure if that's me or someone who represent me, then always double check with me here, because that's how you're going to find out. And if you have my Telegram, that's going to be a pinned post at the top. You can read it right away. That's going to help you at least to not get scammed by these people, right? Because there's a lot of traders who are not doing well. So suddenly, if someone pretend to be me to approach you, you might fall for that because you're not doing well and you think, oh, suddenly I'm offering signals, so I should buy from him. Well, I would never offer signal. So please don't get sucked into these, because some of you guys may be struggling and then more on the losing streak where they are desperate to turn things around, right? So you should definitely watch out for these scam tactics, because that's what they do, right? As you do more better and do well in things, there's always going to be things like this. So it doesn't bother me, but it bothers me when I see people pretending to fall for that, or pretending to message them because they're not sure the authentication of it, right? So always make sure to check with me, or in the chat, or in the group, or any of these official platforms. You're welcome to ask, okay? All right, everyone. So I'm gonna stop here, and I hope to see you guys all on Wednesday, and I will chat with you guys all next time. All right. Thank you very much.